What if history doesn't unfold randomly? What if certain moments seem to arrive with remarkable timing, moments when the world changes direction and the sky reflects that shift? More than a decade ago, French astrologer André Barbault argued that the global turbulence around 2020 would coincide with one of the most challenging planetary cycles of our time. After his death in 2019, many people looked back at his work with renewed interest. But Barbault believed the story didn't end there. He wrote that a far more hopeful chapter would begin in July 2026, when an exceptionally rare planetary pattern appeared in the sky, a configuration he believed symbolized reconstruction rather than collapse. Astrologers call it Barbault's Basket. Whether you see astrology as symbolism, psychology, or something more profound, this configuration has become one of the most discussed astrological events of the decade. So what exactly is happening in the sky? Why did Barbault believe this period would be so important? And what could this moment represent for your own life? Let's explore. Who was André Barbault? Before we talk about the basket itself, it's worth understanding the man behind the idea. André Barbault was one of the most influential French astrologers of the 20th century. Rather than focusing on daily horoscopes or personal fortune-telling, he spent decades studying long-term planetary cycles and comparing them with major periods of world history. His life's work centered on what became known as the cyclic index, a method that measures the changing relationships between the outer planets: Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Barbault believed these slow-moving planetary cycles reflected collective trends rather than individual destiny. According to his research, periods when these planets clustered closely together often coincided with times of global tension, while more harmonious patterns appeared during eras of rebuilding and renewal. Among astrologers, his work gained significant attention because he associated the planetary configuration around 2020 with a period of worldwide disruption years before it occurred. Whether one views that as insight or coincidence, it established Barbault as one of the most respected names in modern mundane astrology. And when discussing the future, one date appeared repeatedly in his later writings: July 2026. What is Barbault's basket? So, what exactly is Barbault's basket? Imagine the zodiac as a giant circle surrounding the Earth. Most of the time, the outer planets are spread across different sections of that circle. But every so often, they arrange themselves into unusual geometric patterns that astrologers believe carry symbolic meaning. The basket is one of those rare patterns. In July 2026, Pluto in Aquarius, Uranus in Gemini, and Neptune in Aries occupy one side of the zodiac, while Jupiter in Leo stands apart, forming what resembles the handle of a basket. To astrologers, this isn't simply a beautiful arrangement. It represents balance. The three outer planets symbolize deep, long-term forces shaping civilization. Pluto is associated with transformation and the dismantling of outdated systems. Uranus represents innovation, breakthroughs, and unexpected change. Neptune is linked to ideals, imagination, spirituality, and collective vision. Standing opposite them is Jupiter, the planet traditionally associated with growth, optimism, wisdom, and opportunity. Together, they create a rare pattern that many astrologers interpret as a transition from disruption toward reconstruction. It's important to understand that astrology does not claim planets cause world events. Instead, practitioners view these alignments as symbolic clocks, moments that reflect larger cycles unfolding in human history. That distinction matters. Barbault believed July 2026 represented one of those turning points. In his later writings, he described this period as one of the most constructive planetary configurations of the century, not because it promised a perfect world, but because it suggested humanity could begin rebuilding after years of instability. Whether or not you accept that interpretation, there's no denying that this alignment is exceptionally uncommon, which is why it has attracted so much attention from astrologers around the world. The real question isn't whether the sky changes our future. It's whether moments like these encourage us to recognize opportunities that were already beginning to emerge. What could this mean for the world? If Barbault's interpretation is correct, this isn't about a single dramatic event. It's about a gradual shift in direction. Think about the last few years. The world has experienced pandemics, geopolitical tensions, economic uncertainty, rapid advances in artificial intelligence, and profound changes in the way we work, communicate, and understand reality. Periods like these often feel chaotic because old systems begin to break down before new ones are fully established. Astrologers believe the 2026 basket symbolizes the moment when that transition begins to stabilize. Pluto in Aquarius points toward the transformation of institutions, technology, and the balance of power. Uranus in Gemini suggests breakthroughs in communication, education, transportation, and the exchange of ideas. Neptune in Aries speaks of new ideals, renewed purpose, and the courage to imagine entirely different futures. And Jupiter in Leo adds confidence, creativity, and the willingness to lead instead of simply reacting. Taken together, these symbols paint a picture of reconstruction rather than collapse. Not because every problem suddenly disappears, but because humanity may begin focusing less on surviving constant crises and more on building what comes next. Of course, astrology offers symbols, not certainty. History is shaped by human choices. The planets don't make decisions for us, but many people find value in viewing these cycles as reminders that periods of uncertainty are often followed by periods of renewal. Perhaps that's why Barbault believed this configuration deserved special attention. Not because it guaranteed a better future, but because it suggested the opportunity to create one. How can you use this moment? Whether you believe in astrology literally, or simply appreciate it as a tool for reflection, this moment invites one important question. What are you ready to build next? Every major transition creates opportunities that weren't visible before. Maybe you've been postponing a career change. Maybe you've been waiting to start a business. Maybe you've delayed a creative project, an important conversation, or a decision you've known you needed to make. If there's one lesson many astrologers draw from Barbault's work, it's this. Windows of opportunity don't last forever. When conditions become favorable, preparation matters more than prediction. Use this period to clarify your goals. Stay open to unexpected opportunities. Pay attention to ideas that keep returning. And most importantly, take deliberate action. Because, regardless of what the planets symbolize, Lasting change has always begun with human decisions. If this rare planetary alignment has sparked your curiosity, there's one more piece of the puzzle worth exploring. While Barbault's Basket is a collective event, astrology suggests that its influence is experienced differently by each individual. That depends on your birth chart. The exact time, date, and place you were born create a unique map of the sky, one that astrologers use to identify the areas of life most likely to be activated during major planetary cycles. André Barbault spent more than 70 years studying planetary cycles. His conclusion wasn't that the future is fixed. It was that history moves in rhythms. Some periods ask us to endure. Others ask us to rebuild. Whether July 2026 ultimately becomes a historic turning point is something only time can answer. But one thing is certain: every new chapter begins with a decision. Perhaps that's the real message behind Barbault's Basket. Not that the universe changes our lives, but that moments of change invite us to become more intentional about the future we're creating. If you enjoyed this exploration of one of the rarest planetary alignments of our time, leave a comment and let me know what you think this new chapter could bring. And if you'd like to explore more fascinating stories about astrology, history, and the hidden patterns that shape our world, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. That's where a personalized moon reading can be helpful. Using your birth details, it generates a free report explaining your strengths, challenges, life themes, and how current planetary movements may relate to your personal journey. If you'd like to see how this rare July 2026 alignment connects with your own chart, you'll find the link in the description and the pinned comment. It only takes a couple of minutes, and it may give you a completely different perspective on the opportunities this period could represent.